So in the documentary, you also highlighted how much of an impact the agricultural, industries and farming for meat has on the environment. Tearing down natural habitats for growing feed for animals and cattle, and also having more space so they can cram more cattle into these tiny spaces. So I just wondered if you could just quickly explain how much of a devastating effect the meat and dairy industry actually does have on, the natural environment.
Well, the producer of The Simpsons, the television show The Simpsons, the cartoon, is a very funny guy. He died last year, Sam, but he told me, he said that let me get this straight. He said that a vegan driving a Hummer uses less energy than a meat eater on a bicycle. If you want to save the planet, you're better off, getting away from meat than you are driving a Prius, because the eating of meat for human consumption causes more greenhouse gases than the combined emissions from all the transportation sector, all the planes, trains, automobiles in the world. So you want to save the planet, reduce your meat consumption, or better yet, get rid of it. Because I'm doing a film right now. It's being executive produced by James Cameron, and the film is about vegan athletes. The only vegan, or the only weightlifter in the Olympics for America this year was a vegan. World's strongest guy, Patrick Baboumian, carried more weight further than any human in history. He's a vegan. Scott Jurek, the most accomplished ultra runner in the world. You say, oh, okay, well, that's good for a weightlifter, but what about for endurance? Most accomplished, female and male ultra runner. This is somebody that runs over a marathon for an event. Scott Jurek, he ran the Appalachian Trail. It's 46 continuous days, nearly 2 marathons a day. And this is not just like over a straightaway. This is up hills and over creeks and, through valleys and through all sorts of terrain during rain. 46 double marathons running the Appalachian Trail last year. I mean, for endurance, we interviewed Bryant Jennings. I think he's like the 6th or 7th top boxer in the world. He's a vegan. The James Lightning Wilkes is a vegan. The guy that kicked the shit out of Conor O'Connor, one of the ultra fighting champions. They're having a bout. He got the first fight. He just got pummeled by a vegan. I mean, there's a very outdated notion that you need meat to be a man and to have enough protein. And it's actually a very recent myth. We'd like to think we had this fantasy that man is a hunter. It was the women that got most of the protein. About 85% of the protein through history has been gathered by women because they're gatherers. Men, when we went hunting, it was a social construct. It was like just our testosterone and our this notion that it was for our society. If you're a big man and you're brave and you're hunting some dangerous animal and you kill it, you're going to get the women back then. Now but historically it probably took more calories to go out and do the hunting than it did that you were actually bringing back for the villages. So it's a very outdated notion that we've been gatherers, not hunters. And so we go in to analyze that. We talk to the people that started the paleo diet, and it turns out it's all based on fallacies, and they knew this fact, that it goes back to a convention that they had in the 1960s called the Hunter-Gatherer Convention. It just sounded good, sounded better, because it sort of jived with this myth that we have that men are hunters, and we're not. We're really bad at it. If you had to rely on hunting to live, you would probably starve to death with men. It's the women that get the protein. And, and the thing is, meat is not good for you. I mean, if you look at historically, back in America, like I said, maybe 1% of the population is agrarian. It used to be that we were over half. And even then, we had just a little bit of meat on the plate a couple times a week, maybe. It was a garnish. Now we have, in America, you have meat every meal. And if you don't have some sort of animal product, you're seen as like it's not really a meal. But that's the new myth. And it turns out that it's killing us. When the Chinese adopt this myth, there's a great study called the China Study. They find why are the Chinese living so long in the populations that are isolated, they're eating meat, why are they don't live as long? Why do they have more cancers? And it turns out it's because of animal products. So with this new film, we're trying to get out the idea that, to be a man you don't need to eat protein from animals. In fact, it's cleaner, it's better for your own health, it's better for the environment. 90% of the rainforest has been cut down to grow food for animals that we're in turn going to eat. I live in California. Most of the water consumption here is for alfalfa that we're exporting to China to feed cows over there. It's what we're doing to, we haven't connected the dots, but when you look at, what it's doing to personal health, 80% of the diseases that we have are caused by what we eat. Most of that's because of animals. When you look at the environment, most of the biggest problem with species decline is habitat destruction because of farming, because of our agricultural practices, because we're eating animals. It doesn't make any sense. We're crazy. We're fools. We're foolish. But here's the thing. So you think, okay, why can't you just give people that information, and then they'll do the right thing? Well, it turns out that guys are idiots. And I'm a guy, but there's something called the backfire effect. When you are given, studies show that when men are given information that is central to their core of what their belief system are, they'll actually do more of that. You tell me smoking's bad, I'll actually smoke more. If you tell me meat's bad for you, I'll actually eat meat. Women, on the other hand, when they do clinical studies, they'll go back and say, you know what, they'll have a reduction of meat 3 months later. Men are idiots. We do more. So what we do in this film is that you think, well, what the studies show, what does work is when you have aspirational characters giving you the information. If you have a purple-haired nose-ring vegan with tattoos saying, you should eat less meat, Arnold Schwarzenegger, then that message won't get through. But if you have Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that, then we'll listen. And we have Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, you know what, I've had heart troubles, meat doesn't help. I was dealing with an old notion that you needed meat to be a man. Things have changed. So, that's what in this film you have these aspirational characters: Scott Jurek, Patrick Baboumian, Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Cameron, Russell Simmons, the head of the Wu-Tang Clan. We have all these great, Brian Jennings, the boxer. We have, dozens of aspirational characters, each talking about illuminating their path to veganism and how it's better for sports. So you have these aspirational characters giving you this information, not traditional vegans.
I've definitely seen David Hay, the boxer over here. He's vegan, and he's done a few videos for PETA about talking about where he gets his protein from, which is obviously the question that all vegans get asked, because we only eat lettuce and don't get any protein, and hair falls out, which was the one thing that I got told, and clearly my hair hasn't fallen out.